Like you really think you can dangle some hot sauce in your purse and a chicken leg, and the shit was crazy. But then also, like I said, the politics and the fact that, when you consider who's benefiting from, all this legislation coming across and everything like that, and at the bottom of the damn barrel, who's always there, it really kind of hit home for me. And then also like the abortion issue. Again, it's weird because I'm in the middle, like you're by your, but does it really take people pandering to the community about abortion? It's almost like it was forceful. So certain things just really kind of made me be like, hold the hell up, I'm fucking stupid, and I was, but not no more.
Well, glad to hear you decided to come over to the dark side. So,
well, to be fair, I'm independent, so I'm not either side of the wing because it's the same bird for me. But I just had to take myself off of the Democrat because that's who we always voted for, kind of train.
Okay.
Let's get off that.
That's fair. Hey, like I said, I ain't expect nobody to jump ship over to Republican and Trump immediately, but I'm glad you saw the value in your vote, and that you didn't want to waste it anymore and continue to feed the beast that's lying to you and shoveling a load of shit in your mouth and telling you that it's a nice bag of juice.
Telling me it's some fried chicken. That's what they try to tell me. But
some collard greens you soaked in the bath.
You know what I'm saying? Like that shit is crazy. But I think that conversations like this bring to the forefront. And even if people buck up at first, the season's on, just so you know. It might not be today, it might not be tomorrow. But it will be eventually at some point. And so I encourage you. I know we don't agree on everything, but this conversation has been really dope, and I really am enjoying this room. So thank y'all.
I know. Right. If I could get in on this,
go ahead.
Because I've been sitting, listen. Yeah, how you doing, guys?
Merry Christmas.
Thank you too, and Merry Christmas to everybody else as well. If I could get in on this, because I've been sitting here listening for quite some time. Very productive conversation. Lifelong Black conservative here. My father was also a Republican, a Black Republican as well, and I'm originally from California. So what I will say is that here, when you look at what's going on politically, okay, and you see what's going on, it's very refreshing. But I knew this day would come. I knew the day would come when the Black community will start to question the Democratic Party. And now that day is here, and and it's just so refreshing to see, just like the other gentleman said, Black people start to see themselves as just Americans and not just as Black. And okay, what do we need? What policies do we need to improve our country as Americans, and not just as Black people? Because the whole Black identity thing is something that has evolved over time. Yeah, it's something that has existed. It's been part of our history and our culture and stuff. But it has evolved over time, and the political situation and landscape has evolved over time. But let's not forget that the Republican Party was instrumental in the early days of ending slavery. Okay, fighting against slavery. And fighting against the Klan and stuff in the South that was trying to politically suppress African Americans during Reconstruction. And so it's almost like this was destined. It's almost like we're just returning to our roots, and it's just a very refreshing thing, and the fact that so many young Black people are getting involved in this movement is, this movement's going to grow. And like you said, I'll land with this. But you talked about, there's not a lot of young Black men in the hood anymore. And you know what? He's right about that. Because you know what? A lot of young Black men are advancing past that. And they're going out and seeking opportunities. They're building new lives for themselves, in other places. And I actually think the result of this is you're going to see a whole new Black community get built. There's going to be a whole new, these Black men are going to go make a whole new Black community. And it's going to be amazing. It's going to be productive, and it's going to be conservative. So I'm laying right there.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%, Mister. I think I see that's where it's going to. I think this generation has access to an abundance of information, man, that we didn't have. You know, Gen X, uh, Gen Y. I think that we it was easy for us to get bamboozled. Actually, I would say before that, because I think that Civil Rights Act was a huge fucking bamboozle. It was a huge trick we fucking fell for, man. And even like I said, Malcolm X called that shit out. He called the Johnny on the spot, man. It was a fucking joke. And the fact that we fell for it. So I think this new generation. I think you're right. I think this new generation has access to a shit ton of information. I think they're able to scan through the information and pick out the important parts and realize, wait a minute, there's some discrepancies here. What I'm being told is different from what I'm seeing with my own eyes, and I think they're able to put those pieces together, man. So I absolutely agree, man. And I think you're right. The most important thing is we got to understand that in this country, our black identity isn't the sole factor. It's the American flag. That's what matters. It's okay to have your identity and be proud, but that should not be the grand scheme of your pride. It should be for your country. So I'm telling you, man, once we realize there are more people, more Americans in our corner as black Americans, I think the better off. And we got to realize the real ones that are in our corner. And I might piss some people off when I say this, but Americans like Donald Trump, you know, Sue, going back to what you're saying, it's a harsh message. It comes off very crass. It's going to ruffle feathers. It's going to make you feel uncomfortable. It's going to make you feel some type of way. But those are the type of Americans that are going to create opportunities for black Americans. Okay, those are the Americans that are going to cut taxes for us when they get in positions of power. Those are Americans that are going to, really try to do their best to hunker down on our taxpayer money that's being wasted and abused, right, and fraudulently acquired. And making sure that we keep more of that money in our pocket, making sure we have more opportunities. Like school of choice is one of them. You know, I was so disappointed the last couple elections when it was school of choice and how many black people I heard think that was a negative thing. I'm like, look at the school your kids are going to. It fucking sucks. You mean to tell me you don't want an opportunity to be able to take your kid and put them in a better school to give them a better fucking chance? Like, come on, man. Like, this is common sense shit.
But see, you don't think some of that was reactionary, reactionary to like headlines more than actually reading what the fucking paper said?
Yeah, 100% too. Yeah.
I just have to slide real quick too. I just wanted to say thank you so much. I'm not a man. However, I did join the house just in case y'all need a little femininity up in there.
Absolutely.
And I followed you as well. I'll make sure I follow you too, Isaac. I hope to catch y'all in another room. See, please replays on next time.
No, Sue, hey, Merry Christmas to you. Yeah, Merry Christmas to you and your family, Sue. It's a pleasure meeting you and getting to chat with you. So we need more Americans like yourself, especially black women. I'm sorry, man. Fuck the Jasmine Crockett's. We need more black women like you representing. We need more black women like you.
Wait till I tell you I'm black. But we'll say that for another time.
Oh, okay.
Say that for another combo, but I look forward to seeing you on Clubhouse. Shout out to everybody that participated. I really hope y'all have a fantastic day and a very happy holidays. Appreciate y'all.
You too, Sue. Be safe out there. Thank you.
Hey, y'all.
What's going on, Miss Eileen? Miss Birthday Lady? How's your birthday?
Yeah. Birthday's day 2.
Day 2, right?
When do I get to celebrate? So I had a couple thoughts. One, let me just throw it all out there real quick. So one, I was kind of sitting here trying to think, like, are there any young, sort of modern day Thomas Sowell, Louis Farrakhan, like thinkers like that? I was just thinking, like, are there any, kind of up and coming thinkers like them? I know they're different, but I still think Farrakhan, I think, had some great thoughts, and he was very smart. I mean, he's still around, I think, right? But anyway, okay, so that's one.
He's racist, though, man. He's got some good shit, but his racism fucking goes his message, man. He's such a racist piece of shit. But go ahead, I'm sorry.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, my other thought was with school choice. This has just come. I mean, I've just been stumped too as to why the black community isn't all over school choice. But I get it because the right has done a piss poor job at lobbying for this. Governors in each state haven't stepped up like they should. Oh, I hope I don't lose y'all. To educate and lobby. And we could do so much more when these bills are trying to get passed to educate the public as to what they actually entail, because the misunderstanding is understandable. They're not educating people on what ESAs are, and they think that it's like old school vouchers. They're doing a piss poor job at getting people on board with it. That's my thought.
Yeah, I think that's because they're trying to play by the rules, and I think they've been trying to play the rule by the rules. They've been kowtowing to this politically correct bullshit. I think Donald Trump was the man to come in and kind of shake that and get everybody out of that moment, saying, "Hey, look, these motherfuckers ain't playing by the rules. Why are we?" Start using their same language against them. Start using their ideologies against them. Fuck it. They want to get in the mud and play dirty and play bush league. We're gonna play fucking bush league too. And I think Donald Trump was the man to kind of open that up. Because you see, I'll give you an example, Marco Rubio. Look how much Marco Rubio has transformed in the last 8-9 years from where he was when he was initially on that stage debating Donald Trump. Marco Rubio was a pussyfoot and spineless little fucking bitch. Now look at him. That motherfucker has changed, and I got a lot of love for Marco Rubio and a lot of respect for him for how much he's grown. But I think Trump's leadership has kind of made it well known to conservative Americans that, hey, it's okay. You don't have to be polite and prim and proper 100% of the time. You can fight back. You can fight dirty a little bit. You can get scuffed up a little bit. It's okay. You get some battle wounds when you're doing this shit. So, and two, I think Donald Trump too shed some light on the bureaucracy and the swamp that also exists in the Republican Party and Conservative Party as well. Because there's a lot of motherfuckers occupying seats in the Conservative Party that weren't for the best interests of America and American citizens. So, I think Donald Trump was the one that we needed to kind of shake things up, Holly, and get conservative Republicans and the right side to say, hey, get your act together, man. We got to do a better job of swinging people over. I think he's done a great job.
Yeah, I see that.
And, I think. Oh, go ahead. You want to go?
No. Yeah, I was just kind of again, just if you guys can think of any thought leaders that I should be following. I love Thomas Sowell, but damn, he's damn near 100 years old. I mean, where is the Thomas Sowell? Where is the up and coming?
Well, look, I'll say this. We have to, as conservatives, we have to go and finance those types of people. We have to back them. We need to have one of the things I was thinking about doing, I was getting together, we're gonna have like a young people, or we could do some research together and get like a young people think tank of like young people of all backgrounds to just come together and have like kind of like a little conservative conventions where they can kind of put their heads together, put their brains together, and look at ideas. I think we can do some investments, something like that. That will create a young generation of people. Now, you could say Charlie Kirk was along those lines, but I have a couple of issues with Charlie Kirk. There were some things that were problematic with the fact is Kirk kind of came up at an era of turning points and stuff. From 2015, where there was a white nationalist slant to what they were doing back then, 2015, 2016. I remember seeing all the white nationalists and stuff online at that time. But what I think has happened is that's gone now, because this conservative movement has morphed into something that transcends all demographics now. I mean, Trump he was winning urban areas like New York City, large parts of New York City that haven't voted for a Democrat a Republican in years. So that's another interesting thing, is that these younger people, they're not as focused on race and see, if you look at Richard Spencer, right? His movement fell off because alt-right thing back in 2015, and if you notice, Richard Spencer, you don't really hear from him anymore. But if you do some research, what I found out, people who still follow him, he's not even a white nationalist anymore. He dropped that because he realized that with this generation, okay, it's not a viable thing. These kids these days, they don't view the world like that anymore.
What is he now, mister? What is he?
He's just he's like a right-wing conservative. He's portraying himself like he's this right-wing, just regular right-wing conservative, but not necessarily with the whole racial stuff. But I don't, I still got to research into him. I don't really follow him like that. But yeah, but what it is he dropped that.
Richard Smith.
Richard Spencer, yeah. But if you look at the stuff that he was doing, right? I remember some of the speeches that he would give, and they seemed so negative. Like he would talk to these young people and tell them they didn't have a future because of the technology and they weren't going to have jobs. So, hey, you better follow me. You better follow my movement. And that's not the way to motivate people. You know what I mean? You got to give them something that they can latch on to, something that they can make them feel good about themselves, something that they can be a part of. He saw that, and then I think he went to Las Vegas or somewhere, and somebody punched him in his face, I think. And I think that type of stuff humbled him, and he realized, you know what, maybe this thing is...
That little running out with the mustache, mister?
Yeah, the guy that punched Richard Spencer.
Okay, yep, I know.
Yeah, so he got punched, and then I think going through that, maybe he had a wake-up call, and he said, you know what, maybe I need to stop this.
So
this isn't working out.
Kind of explains Spencer. He comes from the era of John Kirk and Nick Fuentes. Nick Fuentes. They are all three of them and others. They're kind of from that early 2000, like late 2010s college debate bro type of side of YouTube. That's where all of them came from. Not a single one didn't. The issue with Spencer is Kirk and Fuentes basically stole both of the things he was trying to do. Because he was also trying to do the whole debate me bro type of thing. But the issue is he wasn't really a good debater, and Fuentes just more entertaining when he's being racist. So Spencer was always left behind because of those and others just doing what he was trying to do better. He was always in the background, and I guess he made a little bit of a following. But the issue with him was he was not Charlie Kirk, could not debate for it. He can't really debate too well. And then, like I said, he's not entertaining. I would say he has better actual racial criticisms than Fuentes. Fuentes just says racist shit. Like, that's all he does. He doesn't actually have legitimate criticisms. Spencer does. He just does not talk. That's his issue. So I'm kind of glad he's going away from that, because every time I heard, the Spencer's just, it's like, bro, I hear what you're saying, but you gotta not say it. And he just was not that guy. So it's kind of good he's just going more conservative, because I've always felt he needed to stick towards the actual, like, right party or far right side of the party, which does actually address race. Like, I do kind of give the far right. They do actually say we need to address the racial things. They just don't go as far as Nick Fuentes in terms of calling people that. But yeah, that's where he kind of comes from.
You know what? Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna throw this out there. Didn't Steven Crowder kind of start? I mean, I felt like Steven Crowder was doing all this before anybody going to university.
Steven Crowder comes from that. Steven Crowder also comes a little bit from that. That's when he started getting popular around that time.
I feel like he started it. I felt like he was doing it before anybody going to the, putting his little table up with the banner, prove me wrong or whatever. Like, I don't think he gets enough credit for that.
Yeah, he definitely changed my mind. Yeah, he's the one that definitely started that. Yeah, I would say another one who gets a lot of shit, Myron Gaines. Holly, outside of the Manosphere Fresh and Fit shit, you check out his personal channel. Yep.
Oh yeah, Myron Gaines.
Okay.
Yeah, his personal channel outside of the manosphere shit, outside of the fresh and fit shit, where he covers politics and law. Also, you know, he goes over the ailments as far as America within the different communities and different cultures and things like that. Yeah, that motherfucker's on point, man. Lots of fucking knowledge, just fire knowledge, just give him a spit. Very, very smart guy. A lot of experience in law enforcement, traveling the world. Dude's just a wealth of fucking information, man. So he's another one. He just gets a lot of heat because, you know, his notoriety is from Fresh and Fit in the manosphere. But outside of that, it's a fucking just a fountain of knowledge, man. Fountain of knowledge, yeah. He's definitely got a nice following with him. But I was gonna say to Mister's point as far as the white nationalist thing, I think that's kind of the white nationalist thing. I think that's kind of a symptom of a bigger problem. I think we kind of created this new generation of white nationalists. I don't know how old you are, Mister, but I grew up in the 80s and 90s, bro. That was a thing, right? And I lived around blacks, I lived around whites. Like it just wasn't a thing. I think it started rearing its ugly head. You know, the Nick Fuentes is, and which I agree with a lot of things Nick Fuentes says. You know, I can look past the rhetoric and how the message is delivered and just focus on the message. But this Quaker movement, the white nationalist movement, I think that is a reaction because we have allowed certain groups to take dominance with the bullshit. I think that's just a response that, hey, we're getting tired of fucking trampled all over. We're getting tired of being demonized simply because we're fucking white. We're getting tired of everybody else gets to celebrate our culture, but whenever we go to celebrate our culture and take pride in our culture, we get shit all over, right? We get opportunities taken from us. That there's other groups that have certain opportunities and are given opportunities that we as white men, we are exempt from simply because we're white men. So I think that was a symptom of that problem, and I think the more we drift away from that, we're gonna start seeing that go away too. So I think you're right. It's a good good observation. I think this younger generation is less focused on race and more focused on uniting the country, right, as a whole. So I think that's a good observation. Yo, Danny, Merry Christmas, man. You got a lot to say in the chat. You wanna talk, man? You're more than welcome to join the conversation, bro. Probably busy working or something, but yeah, feel free to come off mic, Danny, even if you disagree, man. You're more than welcome to disagree and have a conversation. What's going on, Sean B? Merry Christmas, bro.
Hey, Merry Christmas in case I don't get to talk to you before then. Merry Christmas to all of you. It's good to see all the familiar faces. What's up, Holly, AI, everyone? Hey, yeah, not too much to say right now. I'm just getting ready for a client. I have one coming up soon. But no, I have interesting listening. I'm always really curious when I hear people talk about white nationalists. I'm always curious, like, who do you consider a white nationalist? Who do you consider a right winger? Like, I consider myself conservative, but I don't consider myself a conservative right wing per se. I mean, that's we're talking about the same thing. That we're just on the right side when we're calling ourselves conservatives. I feel like certain terminology.
Let me just say that
I don't know. I'm in the middle of talking right now. But when it comes to it, some of the wording are liberal words that I don't care for. I don't mind being called a conservative, but for some reason, when you say right wing to me, it kind of rubs me off, rubs me wrong. I don't know. Maybe it doesn't for anyone else. I mean, I'm proud to be an American, and I'm proud to support all Americans and support Americans. I support our military. I support things that actually are proactive and productive in our country, not supporting people that want to stay at home and eat popcorn all day and do nothing with their lives and get paid, get a check. I'm not supportive of that. I'm not supportive of people that aren't wanting to be productive here. If you're in the United States, you need to be productive. Now, if you got some mental illness that you can't be productive and you want to be, I'm all about supporting people that want to get out there and be productive. You know what I mean? That's a big thing for me. But I can't speak enough on supporting our military. Like, I can't say it enough. I hate the attacks that constantly go towards that. I mean, have you guys seen the recent, just to stir up a little bit of something, have you guys seen all the recent attacks on Now I'm gonna fucking blank on his name. Our FBI director, Kash Patel. There you go.
No,
Have you guys been hearing about this?
No.
So his girlfriend is a country
She's
singer. Right. And he shows.
I think, oh shit, she's horrible.
Right. I haven't even heard her music, to be honest, so I can't speak on it, but I heard it's pretty bad.
You ain't missing out on the show. You ain't missing out.
Okay. Well, then the other thing is that apparently Kash Patel's on social media a lot with her, and a little too social media-ish for an FBI director. And I do agree with that point. I don't know if any of you ever listened to Mark Dice on YouTube. He's excellent. He's not afraid to call shit out when he calls some shit out. I don't know if anyone's seen Mark Dice. He's good. I'm not Andy Dice play. Mark Dice. But anyway, I'll leave it at that.
Well, I'll say this. I mean, the only reason I mentioned the white nationalism stuff is because I was trying to make the point that it's dying out. It's not a prevalent thing. What happened was it kind of cropped up back in 2015 with like Richard Spencer and those types of guys. And it cropped up for a few years. I want to say 2015, then 2016 Trump got elected. And then from that point on, I think there was some infighting, because what happens once Trump got elected, a lot of the white nationalists, they turned on Trump. Like Richard Spencer, he turned on Trump because he didn't like the things Trump was doing geopolitically and stuff like that. So, but then from that point on, the movement kind of petered out and it kind of fell off and it was gone. And it's so now you don't hear much of it anymore. You don't see the big rallies, the Charlottesville and stuff. You don't see that anymore because the national conversation has changed. People are not identifying on race anymore. They're just identifying as Americans and the issues that they see that needs to happen in America. And I think that's a good thing. That's the point I was trying to make. Is that it's gone. It's like white nationalism. So these kids these days, these Generation Z especially, they don't really look at race like that. That's not the first thing they look at. They look at, when they make friends with people, they look at, okay, is this person interested in the same things that I'm interested in? Is this person, do they do the same things that I like to do? Do we have anything in common? I think that's what they look at. But I'll land right there.
Yeah, I agree, man. I spent the last 2 years raising 2 Gen Z kids and being around all their friends for 20 years, bro. You're right. They're not thinking like that, man. I had to have it out with their school because they started doing this DEI bullshit and trying to segregate the kids by race. And my kids, went to high school, predominantly white school, a handful of black kids there. And my kids were getting emails, how does it feel to be, a black AP student, black this, black that, and I'm like, I've been around these kids. I've been on baseball diamonds with these kids for fucking years. I've been to the playgrounds with these kids. I've been to the fucking amusement parks with these kids have never brought up race, and my kids have grown up primarily around white and Indian kids, and not once has race ever been a discussion, has it ever been a fucking topic amongst these kids, and I'm like, why is the school bringing this shit up? Why are they making this a fucking issue? My youngest son came home with the fucking flyer for the black student in a fucking 80% white school. Like, are you fucking kidding? Like, what the fuck is this shit? So the school's been pushing this shit, and I think again, the reason why we're seeing it die down is because coming off of the Obama era, everything was pretty much hate white males. If you were white skinned, you had a penis, you were pretty much the devil himself. So I think a bunch of white men got offended by that. They got tired of being shitted on and bullied and picked on just because they have a penis and white skin. And I think that was their way to kind of stand up and say, hey, we're done taking your shit. So this is the approach that we're going to take. If you're going to shit all over us, fine. Fuck you. Fuck everybody. We're going to collect our own group and we're going to do our own fucking thing and fuck everybody. So like I said, I think as we start coming together and we start realizing this thing supersedes race and ethnicity and all that shit, it's about the red, white, and blue. I think we're going to naturally see this shit die down. If you've ever sat down and talked with these guys, like, I got ragged on my first year in Clubhouse in 2021. I got ragged on so hard because I found a group room. Never knew what groupers were, didn't know. I'm like, oh, this is interesting. And I sat there with 4 or 5 of them and had like a 2-3 hour long conversation. Very, very good conversation. They didn't disrespect disrespect me at all. They didn't call me N-words. They didn't, say get the fuck out of here. None of that. Very respectful. I asked them a bunch of questions, picked their brains, just trying to gain an understanding of where they were coming from and why they took the position that they took. These guys didn't have a problem. They didn't have a problem with blacks like us. Isaac, Mister, they didn't have a problem. It's the blacks that continually push this narrative that white people are evil, white people are racist, they need to die, they owe us money, they owe us all this shit. That's where they had the problem. So I think once we start losing that mindset, I think we're going to naturally see that go away.
Say on the Roy Present and Fuentes, I'm not versed at all, and I haven't had time to really go in and delve into that personally. So, because I would love to speak more on that, because obviously there's a large following from the Gen Zers, right? But I'm definitely, that's something it's part of my homework besides it going into the new year. I did want to add one more thing to my comment I made earlier, just because I mentioned Cash Patel that I forgot to mention. I guess he's getting attacked a lot because he's using, obviously, government money. Obviously, he can't fly commercially. That's the thing people need to remember. So if anyone has been questioning that's listening here or on the stage anywhere, the big thing is that if he wants to go to see his girlfriend at an event, which he has every damn right to, he has every right to support the person he loves. I just don't care for the social media end of it, but obviously social media is part of modern day stuff these days. But there is some national security involved with that. So posting and all that can be troubling if it gets posted and you haven't approved it and it goes out there, can give you a bad look. But yeah, he can't fly commercially. The FBI director has to fly in a private jet, just like Donald Trump flies in Air Force One. That's just the way it is. If you're the CIA director, if you're a person of higher stature, I don't think Pelosi is flying on Sprint or Delta. She's probably flying in her own private jet, paid for by her insider trading that she does that makes Martha Stewart look like an angel. Okay, just want to clarify what I said.
Could you imagine Nancy Pelosi ride Spirit with her little African little neck thing she had on when she was kneeling on the Capitol, bro?
Oh my God! Didn't someone have to help her up? But after she kneels, she couldn't get back up. I think she had trouble. That was crazy. That is funny though. Thanks for bringing that one back up. That is a classic moment of comedy to go back and look at. I don't know. That whole thing is just weird to me. Yeah. Wasn't there another one where Obama bowed to the Saudis, or he did something that was just totally unpresidential, where he kneeled to like another leader, or did something like that? It was just really weird. I can't remember if it was what situation.
I think I recall a buzz about that. Yeah.
Biden was knuckle bumping leaders when he was getting off the plane. I'm going, this is a bad look, man. Come on.
You see how when Trump gets with these leaders, I think it was in China. He was grabbing dude on the shoulders, shaking him around and shit. He was like, he wasn't having it. I'm like, yeah, Trump is in charge, motherfucker.
That's so funny. Yeah, he's a big guy. He's a big guy.
Yeah, I was laughing at that. Yeah, I think it was Xi Jinping or whatever his name is. Yeah, they were standing next to each other. Yeah, Trump grabbed him by the shoulder and shit, shook him around like a rag doll and shit.
That's so funny. I imagine when you're that big, you go through life like everyone looks like your little buddy. Like everyone's like, hey, little buddy.
Oh, that's funny as hell, man.
I like the one where Trump is walking past one of the Saudi, I think it was a Saudi king, and he just gives him a nice little, just a shoulder tap, like, hey, how's it going? And you're not supposed to, the pomp and circumstance, it's like you're not supposed to touch. I don't know the whole. One of you might know better details on that, but it was something you're not supposed to do, and he's just like, what's up? I don't play by your rules. It was good.
I love that. I mean, what if we said it's dishonorable in our culture to not embrace or to touch one? You know what I mean? Like, why is it that we have to be the ones to always honor them when it's like, well, that makes me feel uncomfortable. What about my comfort?
Right? Yeah.
Alaska. Remember remember Alaska when he meets Putin and he has that flyover with the B-2 bomber and the jets and he points up at him. And I love the memes. I mean, who knows what Trump said to him, but I love the memes where like, yeah, you see that? That's just like a 0.001 fraction of power.
Right, that's the tip of the
held
iceberg.
against you. It can fuck with us. Yeah.
That's what I love about it, man.
Show of force. That masculinity. We ain't fucking around.
That's what garners respect, man. That's some old geezer, you know. And poor Joe Biden, like I said, as much as I can't stand Joe Biden, a part of my heart goes out to him because he is old and senile, and seeing him getting used and hustle and bustle around. That's not very good.
It's like carrying a dead man around and giving him a bunch of power. It's like Weekend at Bernie's like, no, he's alive. Let's just keep the puppet alive and move him around and auto pen all day long. There was something that came out yesterday about auto pen. So God, I think Michael has Biden got knocked the fuck out trying to appeal or something happened. If anyone knows the detail on that one, it's another good one. I came out yesterday. But yeah, who's to say if that's real or not, what the deal is. But there was definitely something about trying to eliminate any auto pen questioning, and it got denied. Is basically the summary. So it means it's still on the plate. And the fact that Biden wasn't making decisions that these other people were. I don't understand the legalities of that. So that's where it'd be fun to bring Abby in, you know. But yeah.
Yeah, I think from what I read, like I said, take it with a grain of salt. I'm no fucking expert. I'm just going off of the little excerpts I've read. But what it seems like is the auto pen can only be used when the president is actually aware of what is being auto penned. And I think they have some evidence that Biden wasn't fully aware of everything that was auto penned, so it should make it null and void. I think they were having some trouble with the pardons. So I think Trump was trying to, allow those pardons were auto penned. I think that's where they're having some hiccups because there might not be any legal repercussions for that, as far as getting those dismissed. I think a lot of the other things that were auto penned, they got evidence wasn't aware of what was being auto penned, so they can get rid of it and dismiss it. So yeah, but I mean, I think overall,
with the pardoning sake, that was the thing from what I understood with the auto pen, not even the auto pen, but just the pardoning. When you look at the pardons that Biden gave out before he left, for his family, et cetera, he was pre-pardoning them for crimes they hadn't even been charged with yet. You can't do that. You have to be charged before you can pardon. So kind of
tell me you're guilty without telling me you're guilty.
Right. I think there was something on that. Yeah. Again, I'm not an expert on this stuff, so I don't ever come across as saying I'm an expert on anything. Just from what I understand and what I'm looking into, or things that make you go, right?
Absolutely, man. But I think overall, man, I'm happy in the direction the country's going. I'm seeing more people united, man. It makes me happy. I'm telling you, man, this past fucking 10 years of goddamn division, well, actually a little bit longer than that. The country kind of united with Obama, but I think we kind of united for the wrong reasons, but I'm glad to see the country united. I'm especially ecstatic to see Black Americans waking the fuck up, man, and stop falling for this bullshit. This bullshit lie that they've been fucking. I'm so glad Black Americans are starting to wake up and realize. And man, dude, the last 10 years have been hard hitting. Just family gatherings, Thanksgiving, Christmas, stuff like that. Because it's like just some long, drawn out, knockout debates, man. Trying to convince and wake up family members and friends and shit. Like, you're being lied to, man. You gotta stop falling for this shit. Giving them information, giving them articles, showing them videos, having these discussions, man. But last election, man, I had a shit ton of family members who would argue me up and down, man. Every family gathering, bro, and they finally started voting for Trump. They started realizing shit, So that's what I say, man. I encourage everybody, man, have the fucking conversation, no matter how tough they are. Have the conversation. Having these conversations is what wakes people up. You ain't gonna save everybody, but having the conversation is better than staying silent, man. Because there's gonna be some ears that perk up and listen, and they're gonna be like, "Oh shit, wow, I never heard that before." Let's dig in a little bit deeper. Oh shit, The next thing you know, you got someone saying, "Yeah, fuck the Democrats, bro, I'm voting," and not just voting Republican, but paying more attention to policies
this. That's why I'm shit out as much as I can in a short time. I'm in California, so check this out. Our gas is down $1.30 in about a month. A month. So we were at $5 a gallon. We're down to $3.70, $3.80 a gallon right now.
Holy
California.
shit.
Yeah.
So you got a refinery closing though, Sean B. You know you guys got a refinery closing and your gas price is gonna go back up.
I don't know. We'll see. I mean, hell, Trump is putting a blockade on Venezuelan oil, saying, he ain't moving that shit anywhere. So we'll see what happens with all that. There's a lot. I'm wondering if our prices will stay the same. So we'll see. I mean, there's those little things happening in the backgrounds, and I'm curious if it will change what's happening here. I have a sense that the prices are going down because Newsom's wanting to try to posture himself before he exits the building. And by the way, we're 10 points up on a possible Republican winning California, and we just passed the redistricting. Talk about double-edged sword. If we get a Republican governor, and the fact that we had this special election that cost California millions and millions, if not billions of dollars. I forget what the total amount was right off the top of my head. That was a double-edged sword. I said it. If it passed and a Republican governor comes in, that redistricting goes to Republicans. And guess what happens to California? It turns red, baby. I'm telling you, it's going to happen.
Wow. Who is running? Is there a big ticket for the Republicans?
I don't know his name. It'll stick out more when I get the information better. I will definitely bring it up in the future. But something in the future that very well could happen. And I'm really crossing my fingers on this because people are sick of how California's being run, from the LA fires to Newsomisms and shit. I mean, my super left-wing clients, I run a Pilates studio. I'm one of the few Pilates teachers that you'll ever come across that's a conservative, a Trump supporter. And do you think I tell my clients that? No. They would probably beat me. I'll say, these left-wingers, though, these left-wing Democratic socialists, 80% of my clientele, they hate ism. But they will vote anything but Trump, anything but Republican. But I'll say they're not happy with what's going on with Newsom. So there's a good percentage of them that may very well secretly vote for a Republican governor without
Or they just won't.
saying they
They
did.
just won't vote.
Or they just won't vote. Yeah. So
Are the majority of your clients female, Sean B?
Oh yeah. I'd say about 65%. I got a good number of men coming in for now because they're realizing Pilates isn't just a woman's exercise. Yeah.
What I was gonna say is a concern, and Sig's heard me brought up. A concern that we kind of have as Americans now is the younger generation. They're not slowly going to fascism. They are excitingly going to fascism, and that's kind of something I think, since we are the older guard, we're going to have to. It's not even we're going to have to. The reins are going to them. My concern now, like, there are, like, black people coming out of the dark. That's a good thing. My concern is more towards the younger generation, making sure they do not make a mistake that they don't understand. Because I understand they're angry, they have a right to be, and they do deserve justice, but Sig, you heard the guy. You remember that rule I was telling you, this is Gen Z, this is their political view. That is something we do have to make sure, even if there's some, it's not the majority. Because Gen Z women, they don't really have any political views. You start actually grilling them on what do they believe in and why did they do it, they don't have an answer. Gen Z men, they are full on, we want to replicate Nazi Germany. It's getting to that point. And we cannot let that happen. We just can't.
Well, like I said, the biggest part is, we got to do our part to stop demonizing our fellow white Americans, man. And I can't.
100%.
Yeah, if you're walking around, you ain't done shit to nobody, and you're being blamed for shit that happened generations before you, out of your control. You ain't victimized as nobody, and you're constantly getting shit on. I can totally understand turning and say, yeah, fuck you, motherfuckers too. Yeah, I can. So yeah, we got to do our part, man. We we gotta spread the message, man. We gotta stop demonizing our fellow white Americans, bro. We gotta stop it, man. We got a lot of white Americans who are in our corner, not to patty cake our buttholes and treat us like wounded animals that are helpless, but to say, hey, black motherfuckers, I don't look at you as black motherfuckers. I look at you as my brothers and sisters under the flag, and I care about you because we're all Americans. And we got to start embracing that, man. Got a lot of great white Americans, man, who are in our corner simply because we're Americans, and they don't give a fuck what we look like. You know, so we got to start realizing that, man. That's the actual truth.
I would say a great way we could do that is start waking up other black people, because they're starting to see the political issues, but I'm pretty sure they're still dark behind. One thing I'm telling, and this is like me more being from the southern end of the United States, I'm telling a lot of southern people that we need to remember the old southern codes. Yes, there was racism, but there was still honor, there was still respect. You just didn't go and betray your neighbor or anything else because of skin color. That's something I know I'm probably going to have to actually take more seriously, because the South is starting to become racist again, but it's not the white people that are doing it. It is a problem, and I guess this war is going to be on the internet more than the fullest, but I think we need to keep it to the internet, because Gen Z, these kids, people are demonizing them, and all I got to say is, you must have never been in a gunfight where you're outnumbered. They will be the outnumbering ones. We do not need that.
Well, are you referring to when you say hold on, y'all. When you say the South is getting more racist, but it's not white people, what are you implying there?
I don't know how, but black activism has infected the South. I cannot explain how. I don't know. Many people that are down there, they don't know. They're like, we don't know what happened, but it got down there. It reared its ugly head. I know Atlanta, for some reason, is like a hotbed of it, because I don't know. There's been so much white immigration out of Atlanta. It's kind of scary. But yeah, Atlanta's like kind of a hotbed of black activism because of that. There's a lot of white people that just leave it because they're like, bro, it's just fucking racist, which I don't blame them. I would leave too. That's kind of what I mean. Like, there are areas of the southern United States that are clearing out because the activism is just it's disruptive, and we need to bring it back under control. It's not like activism was always allowed, but it was never allowed to the point where you're basically scaring the working population out, which is still majority white in the South. They still build most of the shit.
Right. Yeah, this is something that I really struggle with, because I don't know, if my algorithm is just feeding me scary stuff, or if it's like, it's hard to know what to believe, and it's very, very near impossible to really sift through and find out, is there a trend? I don't know the answer. Like, is there a trend happening right now of black criminals, or black people, violent black criminals who are spontaneously harming white individuals?
Yes.
Because they're white. That's the
Yes.
thing. There's no way to figure this out, but it feels like that. It feels that way. You have the lady in Savannah that was just randomly attacked with acid. You have a Hispanic woman who was randomly attacked with acid in South Carolina. Now that those gentlemen were wearing masks, so I don't know their race, so who knows. But the man in Savannah, obviously he was black. You can see from the footage, and yet none of the news channels are saying that they're looking for a black man, which is just fucking weird. We can all see he's fucking black. What are we doing here? And then you have The other day, there was a black kid fucking stabbed multiple times, stabbed him in the fucking eye, stabbed a white autistic fucking kid. Like, I mean, it's fucking at a high school. It's like, how many of these stories happen and we don't hear about it? Like, are we just, they don't want us to hear about this? Or has this always been going on? Or is something happening?
You're saying how we're not hearing about it, but you heard about them, right? Seems like you're contradicting yourself, Holly.
No, what she's saying is it's not blasted and broadcast as much as it is as if it were a white on black situation. That's what she's saying. You know?
Right. Yeah, usually when I learn about these things, it's typically not right after the fact. It could be even a year or two later and it's because I'm like on Clubhouse and maybe I like am scrolling or I like am randomly looking up something and it's just sort of a random thing, right? Like it's not like everybody's talking about it. Like, like nobody fucking knows about this thing in Savannah. Like I happen to know because I happen to be just like, I don't know, man. It's like random. I stumble upon it, but Jono, you can say what you want, man. You're in Canada. I don't fucking. But I'm telling you, as a white woman, like it's like I'm not even allowed to even say out loud. I'm a little scared. Shut the fuck. You know what? You're fucking obnoxious. Don't fucking annoy me right now. You are such a fucking fuck.
Holly, you just said I could say what I wanted. So why are you crying? Trump? No, I just want to say one thing, and then you can boot me off your stage.
Jarl, Merry Christmas to you.
This is Merry Christmas Day.
What's up, Trump?
Trump tweets about illegal immigrants or, I don't know, Haitian lesbian street gangs or what else? What's the other country he's targeting lately? Another black country. My point is Trump posts truth socials on a daily basis targeting these minority groups. Never is he tweeting about white people other than to say they're victims. So I don't know what you're talking about, Holly, because over the last year, there's a hell of a lot more media pushing this white replacement theory than there is anybody saying what you're doing. I'm not seeing these articles that are trying to pretend that black people are the big victims of white people. In fact, it's the opposite. You don't see the president tweeting about how, black people are victims of white people. No, it's the opposite. You have the president passing laws so white people can sue universities for discrimination. You're living in a delusional world of your own strawman creation. It's not real, Holly.
So Holly, as someone, I don't know about anyone else on the stage, as someone from the southern region of the U.S., even though it's the tip of it, this is not common, this is not normal. I will tell you, in the majority of cases, criminals attack people, criminals rob people. We did not have a lot of race-based crime. It was an occasional thing that happened randomly out of the blue. But you are not losing your mind. I don't know what the hell what y'all was talking about. Maybe it's too much internet. I'm from that part of the country. It is not normal. In most cases, you didn't even really have black people around white people to that extent. You had mixing in certain areas, but most areas were still largely white, largely black. That was it. There was no discussion. I think this is kind of what I was saying before. I think because of the activism and because of the invitation to violence that the South does have, that's kind of where I'm thinking a lot of this is coming out. Because before, you couldn't catch black people randomly attacking anyone in most cases. It was either street crime, gunfights due to something dealing with gangs or drugs, or you did have the random one-off of two people had a disagreement and it resulted in shooting. That was more or less what was expected. This is not normal. Anyone that tries to say, blah, 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 something internet, I'm from where she is. I'm from the region. It is not normal. This was never a thing. So you're not losing your mind. It is definitely a concern, and that's kind of what I was saying. I don't know how, but black activism has affected the South and us and many other people. We need to figure out how to recorrect it, because the South has been largely stable in terms of race well over 93 years, believe it or not. going close to 90
Yeah.
years. We do not need this at all.
Thank you, Isaac. I really appreciate that. And I did want to tell you, you were right about the mass exodus going on. Maybe that's a little dramatic terminology, but in Atlanta, this past year, I believe, we had the first time, I might butcher this, but first time in a long time, okay, if not ever, where population actually contracted, it decreased. So you're right, people are leaving, and some people are like, yay, we want less people. Then you think, but what if the good people are leaving? Atlanta.
Taxes are going to go up to make up for your good thing. And politician, people running the city, that tax base is going down, so there's the taxes over everybody else. Yeah, it's crazy. But Jarl, come on, man. Like, we got plenty of data, plenty of stats showing that, talk about probably maybe 4 to 5% of the black population is outrageously victimized. I don't think victimizing whites, bro. It's just, it's young black males, man, and they're committing the majority of the fucking crime, and they commit more crime.
I don't think the majority of crime are still committed by white people.
Violent crime.
They're overrepresented.
You're right.
No, I still think you're wrong, Sega. We can fact check this.
It's called per capita, Jarl. Do you know what per capita is, Jarl?
Well, yeah, that's the only way you would count. That's the only way you could count, like, the race versus race.
So then what's so confusing, Jarl?
Even the raw numbers, Jarl. Even the raw numbers and per capita.
Right.
Commit the majority.
Raw numbers is what I was referring to. I thought that's what you were referring to.
Raw numbers are
wrong. But do you acknowledge that black people are 7 times more likely to be exonerated for crimes, meaning they were falsely imprisoned? Because I feel like you have to acknowledge that if you're gonna acknowledge the other part.
Your stat is from 2015 and has never been updated since then, so you can't use that.
Why not?
Because it's in 2015. Today is 2025. That's a 10-year-old stat.
It's 3,650 days of new data, Jarl.
Right.
Yeah, it would have to get updated for one. Like, I know what you're talking about. That was in 2015.
So why do you think it hasn't been updated then? I don't know. That's the number we have, so I'm going to use it. And if you were willing to acknowledge it, then you have to ask the next logical question is, why are black people so often falsely imprisoned? And then it becomes obvious that it's a little bit more complicated than just saying, oh, black people are more violent. That's clearly not what's happening.
Here's why you're wrong. The amount of black people that actually have criminal records since 2012 has dropped by 68%. Did you know that? 2012.
No.
Of course, Jarl. Jarl is an expert in black statistics. Didn't you know he has a PhD in black statistics? Didn't you know he has a PhD in black statistics?
One, do not have records, and then 2, there's even less who are actually in the criminal system. So when you go for the whole wrongful conviction argument, I am not saying it does not happen, but the issue is black people in 2025, actually no, in 2021 had left 53% of black people. It was a reduction to 53%, and that wasn't from 2011 to 2021. That was 2016 to 2021. So you can't use wrongful imprisonment or wrongful conviction when the amount of people that actually get records decreases. That's why I said the stat has to be updated because it is from 2015. 2025, I'm pretty sure you would have a hard time finding the actual number because the actual number of black people with any conviction or any criminal record went down so much that it's almost non-countable. How exactly would you do those numbers?
Right. So maybe you're right, but the idea that within a decade, the entirety of black people people in America are supposed to just kind of like improve their life and, you know, stop, like, because I'm sure you'll agree with me, if you live in a more difficult situation, these things are more likely to happen, right? It's like redlining and all these things. So like black people are just supposed to like get over it and catch up to the rest of society within 10 years. And
Yes.
that's silly, like, yeah, but that's not true. That's obviously not going to happen, right? No oppressed group in any country like recovers within a decade like that.
Okay.
Especially not when it's 400 years of slavery and like redlining and a bunch of discrimination and
But
shit like that.
Jarl, the group of blacks, the Negro generation of blacks that actually were neck deep in the redlining and the Jim Crow and the slavery and all that,
They're doing better.
Yeah, they have better stats than the people that are in this generation, Jarl. So there's no excuse for this generation. There's no excuse.
Like
way better stats.
The average person that was a child in racism today is above $78,000 a year. Above, not below, not making it, not just getting there. Above. The income for the people you're describing, for the people that you said even were close, because many of those people are old now, so it doesn't even matter. But for the ones that you're describing, did face some discrimination. You're talking about 57 or older. Those people are above the income of 78 grand. 78 grand is the bare minimum most of them make. Most of them. And then above 80% above it. So the argument just does not exist. They have way drastically improved, way past anything they could probably think of back then. So no, you can't use the argument of still downtrodden, still oppressed, still this, still that. When in 10 years, the only population that is kind of underneath the conditions in bell curve is the population that just got out of high school 4 years ago, which is normal because all of them are in that boat. So no, you can't use slavery, redlining, and everything else because when you do the actual numbers, not per capita, over 80% of them make above 78K a year. So you can't even use that argument anymore.
Yeah.
I can't use that argument, and I did.
Yeah, Jarl. So I linked the 2019 Table 43 from the United States FBI. So
2019?
2019, yeah, 2019.
Yeah, okay, well that's 6 years old, so may as well throw that in the garbage too, right?
Well, they're pretty consistent across the board. That's the first one I clicked on, but I'll grab
That's 4 years newer than the statistic Isaac just told me we can't use because 10 years is too old.
Okay, well, let me find a newer one, but these stay pretty consistent.
But I actually agree with, I'm not denying the statistics, Sig. It was just making the point that, like, 6 years, 10 years, not a big difference, but go ahead.
But yeah, I mean, in this case here, murder and non-negligent manslaughter, whites committed 3,650 of these crimes, while blacks 4,078. For robbery, whites were at 25,000, blacks were at 29,000. All right, so that's abysmal for 13% of the population, and it's really lower than that. Probably, I'd say probably around 5%, give or take a point or two. Because it's mostly young black men that are committing these crimes. So you're talking about 5% of the population is overtaken the white population, which blacks pale in comparison.
12.2% of the population. I don't know why you're saying 5. It's 12.2. Black people make up 12.2% of the population.
Yeah, but listen to what I said. Black women ain't committing these crimes. Black children ain't committing these crimes. Black elderly. It's younger black men. So you drop that down to about 5%.
It's the same thing for white people, though. Right? It's white men committing the majority of the crimes, so you could say the same thing.
White men commit majority of the crimes?
Way more white men. There's way more white men than black men, than young black men. There's way more younger white men than there are younger black men. So there's no way we should see these rates. We should see 5% of the black population overshadowing the white population when it comes to certain crimes. Now, if you go down the list, there's other crimes, yes. Raw numbers, white people dominate. But if you look at the differences between the whites and the blacks, most of these we're meeting them at about 50%. So most of these, if white people did it 200 times, we're right there there 100,000 times. If whites did it at 100,000 times, we're right there close to 50,000 times we did it. There's no way we should be 50% of what whites are doing. We should
But it's systemic racial oppression.
We should be about 5% of what whites are doing.
You should be like, I find you're saying it a bit weird. Maybe you're saying the same thing, but you should be proportional to your population, right? If black people are 12.2% of the population, logically they should commit 12.2% of the crime. I'm not denying your numbers. I just think they're a lot more complicated than some people hate them. I think that there are reasons that black people are committing more crimes in America other than they're black. I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that they're poor, right? I think if you just looked at the same crime statistics and said, do poor people commit more crimes than rich people? Absolutely, 100%. And it's not even just that. The other statistic that I think is important to look at is, and this one exists, I can look it up, is the average punishment for, like, if you have more money, your punishments will be less severe. You're less likely to be found of a crime and you're more likely to get off. So again, like, these statistics are skewed by these facts, right? I'm not denying the numbers you're claiming. I'm just saying, if black people are less rich, then they're more likely to be found guilty, they're more likely to get caught, and they're more likely to get severe punishments because they don't have as good defense.
Great, Jarl, we get it.
There are statistics.
So, Jarl, if you were the president, Jarl, what would you do? What would you do for we the people, Jarl, if you were in charge?
Well, I'd stop talking about white replacement theory as if it's a real thing. That's the first thing.
Beautiful. So here's the actual problem. This country is
Beautiful.
Contrary to the numbers, not black Americans. The poorest group in this country is still Native Americans. Now, for all the issues Native Americans have, a high murder rate is not one of them. A high assault rate is one of them, but a high murder rate is not one of them. So, if your argument was accurate, they should have killed themselves and climbed themselves out of existence. Yet, they don't. And then you go to the next poorest group, guess who it is?
Hispanic.
No,
So,
no, not Hispanic.
I actually like your example. No, but wait, let's stick to the native example. Okay.
No. There's a reason I'm saying this. The next poorest group in America,
White.
whites, working Americans, they are still in the bottom. Now, they have a large avenue of income from 16,000 all the way up to 172,000. But for some reason, it's a wide breadth of income you can go to. But the poorest are between the 10,000 to 23,000. That's where vast entirety of white or impoverished Americans are. And despite that, the highest crimes that they have is alcoholism, drug use, and domestic violence. Theft, murder rate, and things like that, it's nowhere near the same level as black Americans. It's not even close. You can go to these areas individually. You will have the thing that was mentioned happening normally. But murders, theft, things like that, maybe every once or maybe every 5 times a year that'll happen. Maybe. And I've lived in these places. I've been to them.
Isaac, didn't you hear what Jarl said? If he was in charge, the first thing he would do for we the people is get all of Americans to stop talking about white replacement theory. That's the type of plan that Jarl has for we the people. It's really very inclusive and extremely exciting.
You're putting words in my mouth. Saying as the president, the president should stop spewing conspiracy theories like white replacement theory.
That's what you would do. It's such an incredible plan, Jarl. Like, you will save America with that plan. It's really exciting, Jarl. Congratulations.
That does go against the First Amendment because you can't say what you want as long as it's not saying terrorism.
As the president, I would choose not to promote conspiracy theories. I wouldn't censor other people. Jesus Christ, guys.
Yeah. Hey, real quick before I lose you guys, I just want to say, I think the big differential between poor whites and poor blacks, though, when it comes to violent crime rate, is because most poor whites live in sparsely populated areas, more rural, and most poor blacks live in inner city, and so you're gonna have like more density and more opportunity to hurt other people.
No, I agree with that. And
Charles, I got you, Charles.
it still doesn't explain why, okay, you go to the areas where there are still large amounts of white people, and they are still not at a comparable income level. They're actually kind of trapped in place because of their income level. You actually have less crime. Take a place like upstate Georgia. Upstate Georgia is not rich. Anyone can tell you that. Not even close. They are anywhere between 52 to maybe 46,000 a year. Despite that, they don't have insane crime rates, and they do have large towns. They don't have small towns or derelict, used to be mining places. No, these are large, sizable towns of close to 500 to maybe a little bit over 600,000 people. Still don't have violent crimes. While you go to a black area of a comparative size, it's a toss-up. So don't, but a lot do. And that's kind of what I mean when I say, even when you get into the income and the comparable population densities, you still do not have the insane level of crime.
Well, it's the white replacement theory that Charles is suggesting. If these people didn't believe in white replacement theory, they wouldn't be self-destructive, right, Charles?
I just think it's playing victim. But just really quick, Isaac, to respond to your point, you're wrong on one point. The black community is 36.4 of the population. I'll just say the rates. Black people commit violent crimes at 2.9 times their per capita, let's put it that way. Whites at almost 1.0, Asians at 0.28. But if we look at American Indian, it's 3.3 times the rate, which is higher than black people. If we look at Native Hawaiians and Pacific Islanders, it's 3.0, which is 0.1% higher than blacks. So again, like, I don't know why you said blacks were so much higher, because they're lower than natives and Hawaiians.
I said in the beginning that indigenous populations have a higher assault rate. I did say that. They have a higher assault rate than anyone. That is what I was saying. Higher rates of assault. But when you actually start studying the type of crimes they commit, murder is usually not one of them. Higher rates of assault, yes. They do fight each other and put each other in the hospital by a lot. But it's not shot. It's not grievous harm or injury. It's like one got cut, one did a fight. That's kind of what they're doing. That's their violent crime. You go to black areas, death. A lot of the crimes are murders. That's a very big difference.
Maybe, and this is extremely semantic, so I apologize, but we should be saying found guilty of crimes, because just because somebody was found guilty of a crime doesn't mean they committed a crime, right? Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, that should be. I would agree with that. That will definitely be a fair point. But I don't think it's. I don't know, man. I'm willing to bet, and again, I will concede to your point. I will acknowledge that point. It's a fair point, Jarl. But I'm willing. If I was a betting man, Jarl, I don't think it's that far off, man. I really don't. I really don't.
Per capita, African Americans commit 10x the number of crimes of white people. It's not 3 times, it's 10 times. That's the real statistic.
You see how you calculate that? People commit crimes at 3 times the rate of the population size. Like, what you're saying, I don't know how you're calculating 10x. I'm not denying it, how are you calculating this? A proportional to the population size, it's 3 times the.
I don't think I can explain statistics to somebody who thinks that their first priority as the leader of America is to abolish the conspiracy that white people are being replaced. If that's your game plan, there's no point in arguing with you, Charles. You're just a moose head from Canada. You're nothing but a moose. You hear me, Moose?
He's talking about the total count, which would be 10 times the amount if you would have counted all, but you're right about the 2.9 rate. The rate is 2.9. The total count, he is correct. When you accumulate it all together, is 10 times.
Sorry, Sid, go ahead.
Woo!
Breakdown here. So non-Hispanic whites, according to the 2025 census, represent about 60% of the country. And that's about on par with the percentages of arrests for crimes, according to the FBI. About, looks like here, probably about 50 to 60%. A little bit higher than that. I'd probably give a little bit of grace and go a little bit higher than that. Hispanics are about 20% of the population. They're right on par with about 20%, 19% or so. The blacks make up 12.6% of the population. They're on par for about 26.6% of crimes committed. And it says other races, it gave a 4%, but Asian, mixed breed people, American Indian, Alaskan, Native Hawaiian, Pacific Islander. So Asian is saying 6.7% of the population, plus that's 8, 9%, 2.5 for mixed people. So that's about 9%, and then 0.7 and 0.2. So you're talking about 10%. So 10% representation for Asians, mixed people, American Indian or Alaskan Native, Native Hawaiian, Pacific Islander, and they're represented by 4% of arrests for crimes.
And don't forget, these police departments have been fudging the numbers. When you're black or Hispanic, you're labeled as white, and we all have seen that in the media, and we all know it's true.
And that's true. Yeah, DC just got fucking busted for fudging their numbers, their crime stat numbers, to have it reflect less poorly on blacks. So, I mean, we've seen instances like that. Now, another thing, too, people bring up, to be fair, is that not all states report the data, so we got to take that into consideration as well. But, I mean, from what the information that we do have, it looks like the other races are pretty much on par with their population representation. Blacks literally have the highest representation, disproportionate representation for their race. So, and I know, John, you said you acknowledge that or whatever, but when we talk about the reasons why, it's not because we're saying, oh, they commit crime because they're black. There's a huge culture of violence, Charles. Have you ever heard of drill rap or listened to this American rap culture? Have you heard some of the shit that they rap about? And the culture that
big music in Canada, and we don't commit crimes.
What's that?
The music is international, and the rest of the world isn't committing crimes because of American rap music.
Well, I'm saying the subgenres, the violence subgenres, those aren't distributed in other countries as much as they are here in the States. Like drill rap. You ever heard of Chicago drill rap?
Of course, we have drill rap here too.
Right, but that type of music, what it promotes, and then you see the areas where it's heavily played and heavily listened to. There's a shit ton of crime in those areas, and the sources that they originate from, Jerome. And then too, that your guys' culture isn't as violent either. But then even if we go to the UK, I mean, blacks are having the same issues. They disproportionately represent a lot of the knife crimes and violent crimes over in the UK as well. So they're having the same issues, and that drill rap, which pertains to the black culture over there, it is just as violent. Just as violent as the American culture. So there's a lot of violence that comes from the rap and the hip hop culture, and it does influence a lot of these fucking kids and these younger generations, man.
I'm back. Okay. I just want to say also, what scares me, and Joe can call me a victim or whatever, blah, blah, blah. What makes me feel uncomfortable is that I don't trust. Okay, it's so quick. They're so quick to label it a hate crime if it's, Jewish victim or a black victim, but very, very slow to label it a hate crime if it's a white victim, if they label it that at all, even if there is justification for that. I'll give you one example. Similar crimes. A couple years ago, there was an autistic kid on a subway in Manhattan who was being beaten up by what looks like to be a Hispanic group of teenagers. And they labeled that a hate crime almost immediately. The initial reports, NYPD is investigating hate crime, blah, blah, blah. Fast forward to another example similar. This is what I just told you guys about in North Atlanta High School. Black kid stabbing with scissors in the face, in the eyeball, multiple times. A white autistic kid. Any mention of hate crime? No. No. Mention of the kid's lap and stabbing it, by the way. That's more like us. So everyone else is kind of letting that cat out of the bag, right? Because there's video. But anyway, they don't talk about hate crime. Oh, and by the way, he actually yelled at this kid, "You white bitch." Okay, tell me there's something wrong with this picture. We can't even know what the data is on these random or, hate crimes.
Holly, don't talk to Jarl to confirm your bias. Holly, Jarl isn't going to confirm your bias. Jarl is a woke, leftist, socialist, communist, Marxist, trans feminist fucking loser. That's what Jarl is, Holly. He's not going to confirm what you're saying.
All right,
What
this is
makes
the problem.
So hello, nurse. So Merry Christmas.
The trans feminist fucking loser. He's not going to confirm what you're saying.
Say, guys, Merry Christmas.
Well, Merry Christmas to you and Happy Hanukkah.
And happy Hanukkah. Shalom to you all, normal.
Yeah.
Happy Hanukkah to all my Jewish brothers and sisters out there.
All the same to you. Shabbat Shalom. If that's the. It's not Shabbat Shalom. My bad, I heard that on here. I think he was short, but yeah, happy Kwanzaa.
Anybody can quote Charlie Kirk.
I'm the agent. You gotta wish me a happy New Year, Dragon New Year. So this is the problem, Holly. That has been said since 1962. So I do have to take. I really don't take defense of the blacks because I normally think that the blacks in America are a cursed people and they need to be replaced by more efficient blacks from maybe even Polynesia or Melanesia. But the issue is this: the "you white bitch" has been said since the 60s. That's sort of a response due to when the integration happened, and the blacks were integrated with the whites. Of course, all types of shit was said. These nappy-headed Negroes, am I allowed to say cursing here?
Absolutely.
These 1960s whites said, "You nappy-headed niggers, we don't want you here, blah, blah, blah," right? So that has been a response. It's been a response for about, maybe it's overshot by now because obviously that's not happening anymore. But to your point, if we wanted to calculate that, we would have to then remove whether that was a response to an instigation. And also the problem is this: we do have to factor in that unfortunately the FBI and certain institutions which put the crack in the community, which gave birth to the crack babies, and the crack babies are often the ones who are saying, "Oh, you white bitch," on the New York City subway. I can tell these guys who are my age, who are likely crack children, they're the main ones saying it. So I do have to put some blame on the whites for that, because they did flee from New York, and they let the degeneration and the urban blight happen for about 30 years. Then they came back, and they expected to be welcomed with open arms.
Nerd, you're gonna blame white people?
Yeah, because you can't abandon an entire city.
You're blaming Barry Seal and Bill Clinton. Then is essentially who you're blaming.
I don't know. When Michael Bloomberg started to make it, a little, obviously Giuliani and then Michael Bloomberg made it for the
whites came back and they expected things to be as they left it in the 50s. Unfortunately, that's not how it works. So you have to address some of the socioeconomic issues that resulted from a white flight situation, and that may sound like an overcomplication, but that's why in a lot of urban cities you're having the bitch, because these are the children who were left behind in the 80s and 90s due to the war on drugs that has to be addressed.
Well, let me just land real quick, then I'll let somebody else. What I'm saying is, though, fine, call names. That's fair. But when you call a name whilst you stab someone in the eyeball, that becomes a hate crime to me, okay? When you're saying white bitch, you're stabbing me in the eye, let's do the math here. And to avoid labeling that a hate crime is very concerning to me, because it makes me wonder how many of these instances are out there that have not been labeled hate crime. Therefore, myself, and people who look like me, we will never know if we need to keep our head on a swivel or not. We will not have the privilege, like, with all due respect, El Normo or even black folks, of knowing if there is a trend in hate crimes, random hate crimes, for example, that we need to maybe be more aware of. And that makes me feel very uncomfortable in this country.
Holly, are you not paying attention, Holly? You don't need guys like Jarl or Nerd to confirm your suspicion, Holly. You do keep your head on a swivel, and you do stay alert. There are low IQ terrorists.
And because I'm about to go away, this is a fair point. You should have some type of heads up. I would suggest using the Citizens app and just looking at general crime. You're not going to know, of course, if it's white specific, but to your point about
You can fairly estimate it's going to be black specific, Holly.
I completely agree it should be labeled a hate crime. The issue tends to be there are so many harassers that's literally saying that shit every day out of mental illness. They're also saying, hey, Arabian bitch, hey, Jewish bitch. Like they're saying the spectrum. So a lot of these people are mentally ill. They're crack babies. They're on drugs. The last thing I'll say is that if there's a broad issue with hate crimes against whites, again, I would implore the whites to ensure that they reinvest in the communities that they're moving to, because again, these communities have been underfunded for 50 years, and now all of a sudden people are moving back in. They want safe school districts, all that. That's not going to happen overnight. You've got to figure out a way to put the funding there so that, there's actually police, security, etc. to get these elements under control.
So you mean the property tax has to go up? So homeowners got to pay more to keep themselves safe because the previous political leaders did nothing to stop this epidemic of crack baby drug addicts harassing everybody in the streets. Thank you very little, Nerd.
So I just want to say there, I brought any crack into any place. So that's a weird myth that should be debunked at every turn. That's one. Number two, Giuliani and Bloomberg did indeed bring high-income people back into the city and transform the city from being dirty, broken, to one of the safest cities, certainly of its size in the world, on the planet, and made New York better in countless ways, from the public spaces, whether it's Central Park or Brooklyn Bridge Park or Prospect Park, to the High Line, to the waterways, all of them transformed by the coffers, by the tax base of the people that came back because Giuliani set the mold and made the city safe again. And murders went down from approximately 3,000 murders per year down to under 300, which is a staggering tenfold improvement, and saved, you do the math, 2,700 lives per year over, say, 25 years minimum. So multiply your 2,700, your 27 years times the 100 people per year that did not get slaughtered, mainly, by the way, black and brown people in emerging neighborhoods. So
I don't have any doubt that the people who did come back to the city and begin to transform marginal or emerging neighborhoods, say, Brooklyn is a good example, Bed-Stuy if you wish, but also whether it's Hell's Kitchen or Lower East Side or Chinatown, all of those places became upscale, more upscale anyway. Even in tenement housing stock, they became much more safe and livable. So, I mean, that transformation is real, and it comes out of people who are able to be safe in their neighborhoods, particularly, I'm going to say, women, because they're more vulnerable, and kids, and older people. So, I support the transformation of cities into safer places. About hate crimes against white folks, well, I guess there's some now and then, and they'll prosecute them. No offense, Holly, but I don't really see them as a big thing. I don't see it. It's just crime, period, that's a problem. It's not just...
All crime is hate crime. It's only the liberal Democrats that started calling it hate crime to give a special label for white people. The whole thing is ridiculous. When you murder somebody, when you violently attack somebody, that is a fucking hate crime. It doesn't matter what the fuck your race is.
So, but I don't think a hate crime is a real offense in America. It's when they punish you for an actual crime. If it was a hate crime, you might get a more severe punishment. That's literally all it means. And I don't know what you're criticizing, Holly. If these people were found guilty of crimes and they were sent to prison for quote unquote hate crimes, what do you want the system to do more than that? White people can declare hate crimes, and black people can be found guilty of whatever the hell you're claiming. I don't know what you want more to happen if people were put in prison for this.
Okay, to correct a couple of things. One, the people that actually said New York was the Italian mafia for 57 years, the guys you just mentioned here, son up. Can't agree with that. Cannot agree with that. I've learned actually New York City history. The mafia made it safe. They just inherited it after the mafia was converted. The second thing, the CIA told you and has documents that you could search up. They did give a bunch of guns and drugs to barely low income in minority areas. They 100% did. You can look it up. You can literally go on the CIA website and go find it. So I don't know what that was said. Third thing, hate crimes are a different crime compared to regular. It is against a protected or marginalized people in America that have one or another status. Let's say someone came from a war-torn area for some goddamn reason in the world. You attack that person, that is a hate crime because that is a refugee in America. That is a hate crime. So I don't know where you're getting it's the same offense when clearly, according to the actual law, it is not the same.
There are states that have hate crime laws, and there are other states that use hate crime as an enhancement, which I think is what Jarl was getting at. If one committed a heinous act and also was yelling the racial epithet while they did it, then it would bump the crime, the penalty way up. And I challenge you, you will not find one single case of somebody from government bringing guns or drugs into any community in America. It's a complete urban myth. I know the Freeway Ricky Ross had some plug. It was also a CIA or FBI informant. That means he was a criminal. That doesn't mean he was with the government. And I know that what's his name, Gary Webb. I was following this in real time. He wrote some articles for the San Jose Mercury News, but those series of 3 articles were completely debunked by superior journalistic outfits. So nobody sold any crack. And again, that's not. I mean, and by the way, the Black Congressional Caucus of Black communities were loudly demonstrating for drug laws. These weren't something that were imposed by right-wingers. They were in response to communities that were being destroyed by these drugs.
So El Normo, they had to, I'll keep this quick and pass it to Holly. They had to do it because they had to fund the whatever they're doing with the Nicaraguan government.
I mean, Iran-Contra, yeah, that never touched the United States, though. They never brought any good drugs to the U.S.
They had to ensure that they could raise funds for the opposition government they were trying to battle the socialists with. So that's why they drop up the crack, to make sure that, okay, now there's a customer base. These people can get funding for the government we want to oppose, in Nicaragua. So that's very clearly happened.
Yeah, there's no case of the government bringing drugs into this country.
El Normo, you're never gonna win with these people. They totally believe white people are responsible for everything.
Hey, well, you go look and see if you can find a single piece of documentation. You can't. I just mentioned two very sort of far-fetched sources on the matter, both of which have been debunked. And yes, there was a thing called Iran-Contra. Oliver North went to prison for it. It was under Ronald Reagan, but it had to do with Iran, and Nicaragua did not. The U.S. was not part of that. And yes, the U.S. was backing the anti-communist forces in Nicaragua, which were defeated democratically subsequently and have remained defeated. And the U.S. has an interest in not allowing our enemies like Soviet Union and now Russia to gain a foothold in our neighborhood. That's the right thing to do, is to oppose the incursion of the Soviet Union or China or Russia.
Listen, going back to hate crime, you got to realize that it is a double standard and hypocritical. When a black person kills a white person and calls that person a white bitch and isn't charged on a hate crime, we have a judicial problem where real crime, real murder does not result in capital punishment. There would be no hate crime if you were murdered for committing murder in this country, but we do not have that anymore. We have woke, liberal, Democrat, communist, Marxist judges releasing murderers back into society to specifically target white people. So white people, if you think you're not the fucking target, go get on a public train sometime and find out how quickly you are the target.
Do you have any evidence for this absurd conspiracy theory of the government releasing people who are going to target white people and murder them? Because that's fucking delusional.
No, Charles, you're fucking delusional. I live in Chicago. I'm telling you what I see, what I read, what I hear, what's in the news. It's everywhere, Charles. We live in an epidemic of Democrat clowns who are now our judges. We need to do what they did in El Salvador with what's-his-face, took the whole fucking country over and got rid of every fucking judge who's releasing every murderous criminal gang member back into society to continue to kill society. Jarl, you're the brain rot, and you got here with brain rot. There's no fixing you. You have brain rot, Jarl.
Chill out, dude. America has the most prisoners per capita in the world. Okay, so I don't know why you want to put more people in prison. That's the first thing. The second.
No, we're not putting them in prison. We're sending them to the afterlife, Jarl. We're sending them straight to heaven. There's no more release. There's no more capture. It's you going straight to heaven, Jarl.
The other thing I was going to mention is if you listen to Holly's story, right, people were charged with hate crimes against white people. People are constantly being charged with hate crimes against white people. So you're just making shit up, right? You can be charged with hate crimes against white people, and it does happen. In fact, I shared a statistic that shows that 10.3% of hate crimes in America are against white people. So what do you guys want the society, what do you guys want that?
We want to stop spreading the conspiracy theory that white replacement isn't real, Jarl. Listen, Jarl, you cannot lead anything. You're a moose head.
It's not real. You're delusional if you believe in white replacement.
Charlie, you're delusional if you come on this app 80 hours a week and talk about white replacement theory.
Why are all your leaders white old men, you idiot? Why are your leaders?
Because Bernie Sanders is a fucking liar. The fucking Bernie Sanders has gotten $30 million in big pharma money. Bernie Sanders has gotten hundreds of millions of dollars from every major industry in the whole fucking planet. And that's why Bernie Sanders gave it to Hillary Clinton, because he's a fucking liar. And he's a fucking schmuck. And so are you, Jarl.
Your current leader, first of all, and wokeness, right? And fucking slave history museums, is constantly banning this shit. You live in a society that believes what you believe, that believes white replacement theory is destroying Europe. So you're actually delusional for pretending like it's the other way around. You motherfuckers control this society. If there's any other...
You motherfucker, you're delusional, Jarl. You're talking to a fucking random person on a social audio chat app. You're projecting. You're delusional.
Can I please get in? Okay. Jar, again, just listen with your ears. I said the kids in Manhattan were supposed to be Hispanic from the video. They were charged with a hate crime. That happened very quick. Oh, I hope I don't lose y'all. The white boy that was just stabbed here, I have seen nothing, no mention of hate crime in anything thus far. You're right. They could come out with a hate crime. But so far they haven't. My point is, it seems to me they're very quick to jump on the hate crime with many other groups, but not white people. Look at the girl on the train or the bus in Charlotte.
The white girl in Chicago who just got lit on fire by a black guy who was released 30 times.
Okay, it took not the AG, or yeah, our federal AG, right? Am I saying, yeah, that's what she is. It took her claiming this is a hate crime, federal hate crime. I don't believe the local authorities were saying that yet. I'm saying, Charles, you can have this bias, whatever you can think of me. I'm saying it is dangerous when you are not treating various groups equally, because what if, Jarl, I'm not talking about white replacement theory, what if we actually do have a serious issue with black Americans who are harming white people who they don't know purely because they're white? What if there's a trend that's occurring? Maybe there's not. Maybe there's...
What if? What if?
Treat the group the same. How will I ever fucking know, Jarl?
It's called reading the news, Holly. It's called not talking all the time. It's called looking at the information on the internet. It's everywhere. Have you heard of X platform?
If you and your wife and your children lived in a country where you believed that you were not getting the full story, and you didn't know that whether you were, whether your lives were being threatened or not, don't you think that that's concerning? If your wife was the one who has 50% of her body burned right now in Savannah Hospital by a random black individual, now who knows if it was race related or not? I don't know. But don't you think if that was your wife, you might be a little disturbed that the media is not saying what the photo shows? I just come on, work with me here, Jarl.
Jarl can't work with you. He'll never get married because no woman can ever respect a man who's willing to die at the hands of a murderer.
Acknowledge you don't have like the actual numbers and it's just an impression, and you're allowed to feel that way. And certainly you're allowed to be concerned. I just don't think it's happening. I don't think it's real. Yeah.
Charlie, that's because you're delusional and you don't live in reality. You live in a Canadian snow bubble.
And I'm not saying you did this, Holly, but if you've listened to people like Steven Crowder, Ben Shapiro, or any of those people, right? For years they were saying, oh, white people or black people need to stop complaining and playing victims, and they're always crying about this and that. And that was the narrative from like 2015 to like 2022. And then for the last 2-3 years, it's white people who have turned and have become these perpetual victims who are always, everything's bad to them. And I just find like, where is this this attitude of like, pick yourself up by the bootstraps and stop complaining about being victims constantly and, just fucking go out there and be a man. Like, conservatives are the ones who taught me that, black people are victims that complain all the time and should shut up. But now they're the ones who are crying constantly about white replacement theory and saying, oh, Europe is falling because of, immigrants or whatever.
Because of the Muslim invasion, Jarl.
My kid is not white, okay? So am I a bad person now? Should I feel like I'm replacing white people? Like, do I...
No.
You're delusional, Jarl. You're projecting. You're saying all kinds of nonsense. We're talking about violent crime here, Jarl, not your black wife and your biracial child. Nobody cares about your situation, Jarl. We're caring about getting murdered by fucking recidivists who've been released 30 times, and then they get on a train and they light you on fire or they punch you in the face in the street. Jarl, you're not following the news. You're living in a clown house bubble.
Yeah, Charles, I don't think they should ignore the data either. I like data. Data's important. But if we're not being given the full data, that's what concerns me. You know, I don't think that anyone should shut up about, any Black person should shut up if they see that there's a trend of police brutality, if they see that there's a trend that they're getting pulled over at higher rates for random I don't think any of that, you know, I'm not saying that there aren't people that are, oh, you're complaining. I'm not. I'm one person telling you that I don't believe that I'm being fed the full truth. When I see so many stories, Jarl, I could sit here and go over so many with you. I'm not driving, but I'm telling you, American, I'm telling you, I see it over and over. White kids being beaten to shit and no hate crime mentioned, okay? Maybe it happens later, but they don't do it quickly like they do with and I wonder, it makes me think, and I've said this so many times, and this is the last time I'll say it, how many times does this happen?
Well, it's political, Holly. Obviously, it's all political. It's all political.
Happening, Holly, like with the way things are going now, we're gonna have a correction in a year or two, right? So right now, everything is a hate crime against white people, and they're constantly being persecuted.
A correction? What is this? The hate crime stock market, Jarl? No, this isn't the stock market, Jarl. There's gonna be no correction, you schmuck. This is called a mind virus, and losers like you are infected with the mind virus.
Okay, all I was saying is in a few years, you're gonna have white people feeling bad because they were overstating this shit. And like my point is like, can we stop focusing on one?
White people are gonna feel bad because they're focusing on their safety and security?
Holy shit, it's so You can interrupt me, but I don't know why you're interrupting Holly, bro.
Well, I don't understand why people at 11:38 a.m. CST are sitting here talking about white replacement theory, whether or not you're safe in society from black people who light you on fire in trains, do mass murders. I don't know, Jarl. Maybe you should pull it all up. It's all fucking there, Jarl. You just don't read it and you don't care. You come on here and spouse your fucking political bullshit, Jarl. That's all you're doing. You're wasting your time. You're wasting our time. This is a whole fucking waste of time. But Sig, I gotta tell you, I don't know how you have managed to do this for 24 hours. You've been up for 24 hours listening to clown house people like Jarl say the dumbest shit. And it's a total waste of time. So big shout out to Sig. I have let my YouTube live stream go for 24 hours, and we got thousands of views last night, Sig. You're huge in China and India. They love your content, Sig. But Jarl, the feedback on what you're saying is that you're a schmuck.
In a few minutes. I just want to say, Sig, Holly, Normal, I disagree with you guys, but you made good points. Normal, that's very rare. But Al, no, you made no good points. Thanks, guys.
Bye, Jarl. I mean, look at Queef. I didn't think about what that was until I said it out loud. Queef in the chat. Can we normalize bullying white people? I mean, yeah, I know that's probably, maybe you're joking, but that's the sentiment, isn't it? That's what it's giving. That's what it's giving. It's giving punish white people. It's their time to be harmed and to be, we need to oppress them.
They call it punch a Nazi in the face because every white person is apparently a Nazi to these races. We live in the biggest hypocritical, fascist, crazy, liberal, whack job society ever invented, ever created. The entire BLM mind virus, the entire LGBTQ plus mind virus, trans mind virus, these things are all moral degradation and societal collapse. It is the destruction of the family and the destruction of identity. That's the goal of it. People like Jarl are completely fucked in the brain because they believe this woke bullshit. Same with Bima and many others.
Like the case of the train situation, just, how I was talking about that. We're talking about, like, how...
Jarl took it!
If you want to consider something a hate crime, I think we should agree that there has to be some intent, or there has to be something that there's verifiable, right? It can't just be a crime. Like this guy, he was, calling welfare checks on himself just a few weeks earlier, saying that that someone implanted something inside his body and was controlling his brain. Okay? He got up and he unfortunately and horribly murdered this woman. But there's no indication of a hate crime.
There's no hate. He has no hate in his heart when you murder somebody. Oh, there's no. Are you listening to the words coming out of your mouth?
Well, murder, hold on, is every murder a hate crime?
Yes, absolutely. You have to have hate in your heart, and you are devoid of love and any intelligence when you murder somebody. Are we that far fucking gone that when you murder somebody, it's not done out of fucking hate and anger, Bima? Have you ever murdered somebody? No, you haven't. So you probably can't visualize the perspective of a fucking murderer. But when a piece of shit murders somebody, they got fucking hate and vitriol in their system, Bima. Now you see it?
We're just talking about definitions. I'm talking about...
No, you're talking about politics, because when you give the terminology hate crime, that is a political designation by a political entity trying to slander and literally fuck somebody's life up for a specific... It's bullshit politics, Bima. Hate is hate. Crime is crime. You must be punished for it, and we don't punish our criminals. We release them back into society as recidivists to continue killing white people at scale in this country.
Okay, do you know how a hate crime in the United States is defined?
Do you know I don't give a fuck how it's defined? Because all crime is hate and it's political? It won't work on me, Bima. Your hypnosis mind virus is fucking stupid. It doesn't work anymore. Your politics have been defeated. Donald Trump is the president. Pam Bondi, who knows what the fuck she's doing, and fucking Dan Bongino's stepping down. The whole thing is, everybody got away with everything. Nobody's getting arrested for nothing, Bima, and this bullshit will continue because of these Democrat judges and their positions of power in society.
I understand why you're running from my questions. It makes sense because you'll soon realize that you have no point. It's not rational or logical to take the position that you are having right now. So, I mean, let's just talk about electrolytes and water. Did you have electrolytes and water yet today? Because it really sounds like you did.
See, that's actually a much better question than talking about whether or not a hate crime is still hate.
You're not being genuine. You're not having a discussion. You're just, I don't know, what's mostly going on with you today.
Oh, I'm sick of it. Listen, the only reason I'm coming out this way is because I'm in a safe space. This is called Sig's Masculinity Mansion, where men can actually say what's on their mind. But Charles not a man. Charles is a weak, effeminate man. And Bima, you are a brainwashed communist, socialist, Marxist, liberal clown. You have no concept of economics. You have no concept of law. You have no concept of, I mean, maybe you have some concept of the spirit, but I am telling you, you would be a horribly ineffective sheriff if you were tasked with protecting your people from violent criminals. They'd be fucked, Bima. You would not be able to provide the security needed to keep your people safe. And Charles' first response when asked if he was the leader of his people, what would he do? He would say he would crush the conspiracy theory of white replacement. That's what's on top of mind for fucking Jarl. You understand, people? This is called priority of intelligence. Jarl has no intelligence, which is a priority, and neither does Bima. Because they don't keep you safe. They could give two shits if you died. They'd say that's part of the white structural racist system. These left, liberal, woke leftists are so fucking brainwashed, and they will just go straight back to their primary hypnosis programming. Watch, I will demonstrate for you. Go ahead, Bima, please speak. Or Gerald, please speak. Tell us about your primary programming hypnosis for your priority of intelligence of communication. Let's hear what you have to say.
This definitely doesn't seem like our show. This sounds like a bunch of, I mean, are clearly socialist, communist, liberal. I'm none of those things, right? This is you, I don't know, it sounds like you just gotta get something off. Maybe you need to masturbate, or I really definitely think we should take some water. Hey, can we read some of your Art of War right now? I mean, there's something else that we gotta do here because you really sound built up and, I don't know how much more of this your own body could take. Definitely sounds like you need a rubber now or get some water. Look, I'm drinking some water. It's delicious. Water's so good. Do you want to do a little break, a little humming break? Can we do that? Can we do a little meditation, breathe meditation?
I will just point out that you will note I don't come on here and make death threats like some other psychopathic people on this app, or people who do homicidal ideation projection, or even suicidal ideation projection on this app. I am telling you what is actually happening in society. I am telling you that at scale in major liberal woke protectorate cities like Seattle, Los Angeles, New York City, Chicago, other places around this country, these sanctuary cities where we have millions of illegal alien, destitute, homeless people sucking up taxpayer resources, murdering our people. We are a completely woke and cucked society. We need to look at, El Salvador is technically a CIA experiment, a sandbox, where Bukele has taken over the whole country, dethroned every liberal left wokeist judge protecting the criminal gangs that ran that country, and now they have a super prison facilities full of prisoners with tattoos all over their faces, nut to butt, by the tens of thousands. It's time that, and we are doing that in this country. We are, Trump and the Border Patrol and Department of Homeland Security, ICE, they are forming a mass, and over the next couple of years, all the media is going to be fixated on this, and it will never stop, because the American people are finally pushing back against the invasion. And these left, liberal, woke, Democrat mayors and governors who have allowed these invaders to come into your cities to murder you, to suck your money out of your property taxes and everywhere else they can tax you, the American people are fighting back. And people like Jarl and Bima who want to waste your effing time, it's just a waste of your effing time to listen to this political dribble. Go read a fucking book. I mean, I'm encouraging myself to get the fuck off the app, to go to the gym and read a book. Fatties, I am complete.
To not make any actual points, but just to very briefly debunk everything you just rambled on about. Out of the 10 states that bring in the most revenue per capita, I believe 8 or 9 of them are blue states. Out of the 10 states that receive the most federal funding, I believe 8 or 9 of them are red states. If we look at crimes per capita, it's a very similar picture. The very big majority of crimes are committed in red states. So really, the blue states, the blue states are the ones are subsidizing the red states' existence, and the red states are like a huge crutch on blue states' health. I can share the actual statistics if you'd like to see them. So your whole argument about, blue states trying to tax you or whatever, no, it's, well, sure, but red states rely and need that tax money. They're the ones who receive it from the blue states. So really you should be thanking the blue states.
Well, all I gotta say is go to the gym, read a great book, and your political opinions suck. Hey, Adrian, cool PTR, dude.
If you want to know, it's New York, California are the top 2 states that earn money. They're blue. Then you have Connecticut, Hawaii, New Jersey, Massachusetts, and Oregon. The blue states earn a lot more tax dollars than red states, and red states receive a lot more tax money than blue states. You can look it up yourself, Al.
Cool. Did you know that clouds are white, and past the white clouds it's blue, and then you get to outer space and there's the sun, and there's Venus, and there's Mercury, and past us there's Mars. I don't know, do you ever think about astrology, Jarl?
Do you ever think about making sense, kiddo?
Yeah, what are you talking about?
Oh, I was just kind of doing what you just did there, just randomly talk about fucking whatever.
States and blue states, and we're very specifically talking about, taxes and how blue states want to tax you. If you want to talk about taxes and the color of states,
listen, Jarl, this is called the United States of America, Jarl. It's called the United States of America. No one gives a fuck about your red flag, blue flag game. It's called United. And this federal government is going to whack these fucking Democrat cities and turn them completely over. Invade them and mass deport the millions of illegal invaders welcomed in by NGOs, the Biden administration, and let them pour in by the millions. This is now a national civil fight against an invasion, Jarl. It's never going to stop. The head of Border Patrol is in Chicago right now with an M16A4 walking the streets. If anybody takes a shot at him, he will mow them down with an M16A4 on fucking full auto. This is a fight to the death, Jarl. Americans will not allow their nation to be invaded in the same way that Europe's been invaded. This is a fight, Jarl. And you can call it racist all you want. But if you don't have a fucking social security number and you're here illegally and you're violating our laws, the American judicial system and these patriots and warriors will fucking ice you and send you back home in a fucking body bag.
Just a quick immigrants commit less crimes on average than non-immigrants. Illegal immigrants commit less crimes on average than citizens, and second-generation immigrants earn more money and pay more taxes on average than naturalized citizens. All three of those are accurate.
Very cool numbers, bro. Let's not talk about the murder numbers that illegal aliens commit across the whole spectrum and every. Oh, go ahead, Adrian. Sorry, brother. I know there's no sense here. This is being roasting people and trying to get people very emotional upset.
That shows crime is down when we know that that's not true. When we know for a fact those numbers are manipulated, you have to acknowledge the fact that, yes, I just read off stats about illegal crimes, but I also have to goddamn admit these numbers could be manipulated.
In Chicago, all Mayor Brandon Johnson does is promote his fake crime numbers. Crime is way up. And we're talking about horrific crime. Mass shootings at scale every single weekend for fucking years. Chicago should have deployed the National Guard 20 fucking years ago, but Pritzker never does it. No governor will ever do it in these crime-ridden areas. They'll never deploy more patrols, and they will never cut down on the gang violence. We live in a gang-ridden society, and it is the way it is. But the mental health and the homeless population that commits crimes on the trains is insane that we allow that to persist. The police are so lazy, and the governor or the mayor doesn't do it. They need to deploy undercover cops, remove the most violent homeless criminals, drug addicts that are out there committing these heinous, murderous acts, and specifically targeting white people.
So again, American citizens. American citizens, and if we want to be more specific, white male American citizens are by far the most likely to do mass shootings or school shootings.